Hey, what is up, headhunters and executive recruiters? This is DSP, David Stephan Patterson, but you know who I am. So I am live streaming this into our Facebook group, which is the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter Community, or hashtag the HERC on Facebook, or the Book of Faces, as I like to call it. I'm also putting this out on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe, leave comments, right? But I'll be putting out more videos just like this. So stay tuned. If you're watching this on Facebook, I would please hit the heart, hit the like, hit the happy face, whatever it is. But show me some digital love, because the more digital love I get, the higher the algorithm pushes the video, and more people see it, and more people will be able to get value from it and go to YouTube and subscribe. So even if you're watching on Facebook, head over to the tube of views and like it and subscribe. Anyway, that said, let's get down to business. This is going to be a bit of a longer video and a bit more of a serious video, okay? And it's this. You see, we're facing a recession. It's going to happen. The economy goes in waves, right? It's just the way it always is. It's just a feature of capitalism, right? The economy goes in waves, and right now we're running on the longest, or almost the longest economic expansion in history. Just a few more months, I think we're going to break that record. Now, we want to keep this going as long as we can, and what we're doing is we're propping the economy up and trying to kick the can down the road, but the bill's going to come due at some point. It just is, right? Unemployment is at its lowest it's been in decades, and while that's great for us, it also is the sign. Economists know that as the economy really just tightens up, it's a sign of potential recession. It's one of the early indicators, right? And the unemployment rate isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So it's a big indicator. We're $22 trillion in debt, and it's ballooning. We're basically printing monopoly money. I heard a stat recently in that every human on the earth, not just in the US, it's more so in the US, but just on earth in general, every human is born into about $30,000 to $35,000 in debt, basically born into debt slavery. Now, that's for a whole other conversation, but we are basically printing monopoly money or borrowing against our children's futures so we can live in a consumer culture today. This is what it is, right? So it's house cards. Now, is the economy going anywhere? No. I mean, we'll be fine. We'll get through just like we do everything else, but it is what it is, okay? So for those old dog recruiters, I like to consider myself an old dog recruiter. I've been around recruiting for 20 plus years, and when the last recession hit back in 07, 08, I was running the firm. Had a nice little search firm going. We were making a ton of money. Life was great because everybody was making money then. So it just a matter of how fast can I scale it up. But we had no differentiating characteristics. Not really offer anything other than just straight up contingency search. We just had a lot of it, and we had a bunch of young phone jocks that were willing to hit the phones hard every day, and we were just slotting people in and billing. It was crazy. So a lot of you old dogs know when the recession took a turn, things really started to suffer, and it flushed a lot of recruiters out of the market. And it's like this, right? You have the lions of the Serengeti. When the economy's great and there's tons of antelope out on the plain, all the lions are getting fat. It's easy. But what happens is that when the antelopes start to die out, there's less antelope to go around. Now the lions are competing. And the lions that got by on the smorgasbord of antelope now are starting to get a little hungry because they're not as fast. They're not as strong. They don't have, again, the evolutionary defining characteristics of an apex predator, okay? They're posing as an apex predator, but they weren't an apex predator. So what happens? They start to die out. And the lions that are true apex predators, you know, the kings and queens of the Serengeti, they're still being fed. They're doing just fine. They're doing just fine, right? And then when their Serengeti comes back and the antelopes start to repopulate, right? Now the prides can grow. And who's left? The kings and queens of the Serengeti, who were fine during the antelope recession. And now, because of the influx of antelope, now they can scale and create their own prides, right? Their own prides of lions, and now they can scale and scale and scale with their own progeny, okay? And all those other lions that were fine during the antelope smorgasbord, but died out, their genes are being passed on. And that, my friends, is simple evolution. And business is no different. We live in an evolutionary flux, an evolutionary state of nature, and we can't escape. It is what it is. So I say that because I went through that. I was one of the lions that I was not an apex predator. Thought I was. I talked to big game. I didn't know shit. And I lost my firm. And I stayed in the business. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have another skill set. I guess I could have gone and sold insurance, or I could have gone and sold cars, but I would have been back in this, starting over whatever I did, and I loved recruiting. And I saw the money in it, so I stuck with sort of the Canada group, and been improving ever since. I'm not perfect, I never claim to be perfect, but I do what I can, okay? So that's where I'm at now. And so for a lot of you recruiters, you know what's happening. Honestly, you have to be an idiot not to realize that towards the end of the year, maybe early 2020, maybe mid and late 2020, but some point it's going to happen and you are fucked. Now, granted, if you're a recruiter who's making 100 grand a year, but you only need 50 grand a year to live, and so the last 10 years you've been socking that extra 50 grand away in the bank every single year, so now you've got $500,000 flush in the bank, plus when your billings dip and now you're only making 50 grand a year, you should be fine. But if you do dip below that, hey, you got $500,000 cushion. Oh, you probably didn't do that, did you? Funny how when our income grows, our needs grow along with it. We get the bigger house, the extra car. Is now what happened to us in the first place. We were in houses that we couldn't afford, right? And that's the situation. So you have a choice, right? Either just put the blinders on, or be like an ostrich and put your head in the sand and just pray and hope that it doesn't come, and hope is not a strategy. Or get your shit together now, okay? And become one of the apex predators. So let me talk to you about why I did this video. And this isn't a pitch for Accelerator, which is my coaching program, but I want to tell you a little bit about it and some of the things that I see in the program for people who are interested in the program, and then people who are currently in it, and those who have graduated or are close to graduating, okay? And then I'm going to give you, then I'll wrap the video with some advice on what you can do. Whether you join or not doesn't matter, but kind of the mindset that you need in order to become the apex predator, okay? To build a castle around your business. And when I say business, I'm not talking about if you're just the owner. I'm talking if you're a first-year recruiter working for MRI, it's your business. Your practice is your business, okay? The economy does not give a fuck if you work for yourself or you work for somebody else. It doesn't matter. Recession is a recession is a recession. It affects everybody, okay? So with that said, let's talk Accelerator. So here's what Accelerator is. So this is a program designed to emulate what I've done in my own practice. So there's lots of digital marketers out there that have never placed a candidate. There's trainers out there that were recruiters 20 years ago. I'm an actual recruiter. I'm in this shit every day. I've got a 40-person job order right now that I'm hustling to find people for, and it is a hot one, okay? That I got through social media, by the way. So for those of you who say social media doesn't work, yeah, it does. Anyway, the Accelerator is a 13-week program, although honestly, I've got people in for 4 or 5 months. I'm not really a stickler on the time, okay? But it's highly interactive, it's very intensive, and it is hard. Okay, and I'm gonna come back to that in a second, it's important, okay? It's hard. So, here's where you start, foundationally. We don't do this fancy shit, like, people think I'm about Facebook ads. That's later. We work on foundations. We're talking like, okay, what's the pain? What is the pain in your market right now? Like, what pains are your clients feeling? And I talk about this a lot in my content. You've heard me talk about it several times, about how time to fill isn't the pain. You know, hey, Mr. Prospect. Hey, my name is David Patterson from the Kinetic Group. We're specialists and 10, 20 years in the business, and I can help you fill that position faster than the other guy. But you're not talking to pains. Filling a position faster doesn't solve anybody's fucking pain, right? You know what pain your clients are in? Your VP of operations with your client there in Carmel, Indiana, it has to walk into his boss's office and explain why he missed playing for the third quarter in a row. And he's actually pretty worried that he may not have a job when he comes out of that meeting. And if he has to find another job, what the fuck is he going to do then? Because he's a VP of operation making $120,000 in Carmel, Indiana. There's not many jobs like that in that town, specifically with what he does. So he's for shit. I might have to move and pull little Billy out of school. Little Billy is the quarterback of the high school football team. Everybody loves little Billy. He's got a girlfriend. He's going to hate his dad for moving him out. They're going to lose all their friends. And you know why? Because his team ain't getting shit done. Which is why he's working weekends. It's why he's working Friday nights. Time he can be spent relaxing with his family, right? And then he's frustrated because he's got 6 recruiters on the job to find him, because his star performer left, and he's got 6 recruiters on the job because he thinks erroneously that 6 recruiters means he gets 6 times the coverage. Which, by the way, if you're a client watching this, that does not work like that. It doesn't work like where every recruiter has their own stable of candidates that are completely separate from everybody else's. So, well, I got this recruiter working on this group and this recruiter working on that group. No. By putting 6 recruiters on it, you basically have a bunch of recruiters saying, well, not much chance of me filling this one, so I'll do a cursory look around the market. I'll take the job description, take out the client name, and just paste the rest of it word for word on the same job boards that my client has his jobs and all the other recruiters have their jobs. And I'm betting on information asymmetry, meaning candidate meets 70% of the requirement, applies for my job before he or she applies for the clients or another recruiters, and I can call them fast enough before my client calls them so I can tag him as mine, which is why recruiters fill 10% of their jobs, right? Then you're going to get a recruiter to do a deep dive and talk to every single candidate in the market? No way on God's green earth. So no, you don't get 6 times the coverage. You get like a 1/6 of the coverage you would get if you used a 1. Just, right? It's the way it works. Anyway, sorry, but that's the pain that they're facing, and they're using wrong solutions. They don't know how to fix it. And they're not hiring very well. They're not taught to hire. You know, they're not taught to do things that will actually help them hire a top performer. They just don't know. And here we are running around like candidate brokers, you know, all saying the same shit. I'm a specialist. I'm 20 years in the business. I got a proprietary process. That's neither proprietary nor a process, right? That's the pain. So what we do is we dive in hard. And I make you go out and talk to people. What are your pains? What's happening? How do you feel? How does it make you feel? How does it affect leadership? How's it affecting your team? How's it affecting team morale? How's it affecting your numbers? All right? What does the board think? I mean, whatever the questions are in your industry, but you try to find out what their pains are and you map it. And be able to talk to those pains. Once you have those pains kind of mapped out, right? And then figuring out, okay, how do we create an offer that speaks to each and every single one of those pains? An offer that is so different than what everybody else offers. That's significantly different. That basically takes me from being a commodity to being a very unique product. And then once you take that, they figure out how to sell it. How do we get on the phone and use cold calls? Which cold calls are not dead, by the way. Anybody who says cold calls are dead or they're trying to sell you something. Okay. Cold calls and email sequences and ads and all these different things to get in front of decision makers who are presenting that offer and doing it over and over and over and over to get that shit honed like a razor's edge. Okay? Because most sales or most recruiters get in like, what, 1 or 2 sales meetings a week, if that. I want you to get into 5, 10, and 15, 20. I want you, and they're going to suck, that's okay, get past it. They're going to suck a little bit less eventually, and suck a little bit less until you get kind of good, and then you're really good, and then you're excellent, but you never get to excellent unless you're willing to go through the suck, okay? So we do that. And then once you've got that honed in, then let's scale. Then we can get into Facebook ads. Then we can do all the ads and content and all that, email systems to get that, to spread that message out to every single little nook and cranny to where, you know, if you're Bob Evans, the FICO or the finance recruiter in Cleveland, Ohio, every single CFO, controller, financial manager, every single accountant, no, when they think of financial recruiting, they think of Bob Evans. They don't think of Robert Half. You know, they don't think Robert Half International. They just think Bob's the guy. He's thinking about it, right? It's, you know, there's a reason. Speaking of having everybody in your niche know who you are, there's a reason why you love your parents as much as you do. Because they served you up a lot of impressions and they brought upfront value. That's marketing, my friends. Omnipresence and relevancy. So that's what we cover, okay? So it's a pretty intensive process and it ain't easy. So in order to get into our program, you know, and people ask me all the time, like, hey, how much does it cost? Especially once I see the testimonials. We literally just had one, which I don't ask for these things. They just happen. Paul Littman just posted in the Herc about he got his first retainer. And he's excited to be a recruiter again after 23 years. Pretty exciting. So go read his testimonial. It's pretty cool. Didn't ask for it. So Paul get his check for his very first retainer, and he's like, this is amazing. And he's excited about being a recruiter again because he was just burnt out. And he took a while to decide. He was on the fence for a long time. So I got that. Or Kara Atkinson, sales recruiter in Sydney. $320,000 in fees, right? She's booking 21 retainers over 10 clients in a 2-week period. And she hasn't even restarted the Facebook stuff yet, you know? And she's killing it. Jay Vennard, close to 300 grand in fees. He's sitting on with retainers and robotics, right? Because they're willing to do the work. See, and so when people hear that, right? So whenever I Kara posts that, or Jay, or other people that I'm working with are posting their stuff, their successes, and I don't really ask for these. Some I do, but most of them are just organic. I get people that apply for calls, or they email me, hey, how much is this? To which I never give out the price, right? If you're a recruiter and some prospect reaches out to you and says, hey, what's your fee? Never give your fee. Ever, 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 ever. Get on the phone and provide your value, and let's do that. Because they're commodity shopping. Bottom line, they're commodity shopping. Right? Got to get them out of that mindset. So that's why if you see this, now you know, don't email me or call me, ask me how much is this. Then I email you back, so why don't you get on a call first? So we'll talk about it then. Then I never hear from you. Because you're commodity shopping. So if you're commodity shopping, then don't even bother, okay? Because there's lots of cheaper services out there that aren't as effective, and I'll tell you why, but there's lots of that are a lot cheaper. This is pretty high ticket, okay? But when they do it on the phone, here's what we tend to get sometimes. One scenario is the money, right? They hear the price, like, oh, yeah, I don't want to pay that out of pocket because they work for somebody else. Let me get my boss. She might be willing to pay for it. But what happens is the owner, they just want to do the Danny Cahill special. You know, the $100 a month package, Danny Cahill, Scott Love, Mike Gianta, special with their scripts, and like, that's good enough. That's good. These are 20-year trainers. They know what they're doing. Cool. Because everybody else is doing the same thing, which is, again, I'll cover that in a second. But when everybody else has the same script, there's nothing differentiating. And those guys are good, but that's what they're going to want to go with. Which is why usually, if it's a recruiter working for a firm, either, you know, think of yourself as a business owner, right? It amazes me. You don't not willing to pay out of your own pocket when it will price your ROI 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times over a lifetime. will make you a killer, and will basically build a castle around your practice that you can then take advantage of how valuable you are. Say, I'm $1 million producer, I can go anywhere, or I can do it on my own, or I can, you know, keep struggling from firm to firm to firm, you know. So there's that. So I get that sometimes. Or we get on the other hand, you get some that say still want to do the work. Like I talked to a few people that are in your program, and I keep hearing it's a lot of work, which is true, it's a lot of work. I could sell you something easy and say, oh, it's a turnkey solution. But again, if they're selling you a turnkey solution, there's a reason why it's turnkey. They're trying to sell a lot of it, and it ain't that good, all right? I can make this completely turnkey. We'll do your content for you. We'll do your messaging for you. Provide all the templates, and I'll sell 1,000 of these things. And now every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Cleveland recruiting finance recruiters using the same exact templates, the same scripts, the same content, and now it doesn't matter because everybody else is doing it. And you know, so see, I can get that. So I'll get these folks who are selling to the work, which is, you know, I find funny because, man, they're struggling, they're in pain, which is why they're on the call. But then they want to do the work, but they want to change. It's like, I'm fat, I want to lose all the weight, but I'm not willing to go in and do squats and do deadlifts and change my eating habits and shit. I'm not willing to give up Ben and Jerry's on the weekend. I'm not willing to give up do all those things, you know? It's like the person who, bottom line, the person wants to build more. Okay, you want to build more, one of the first things you do, quit drinking. Or don't drink during the week. That's one of the best ways to increase your billings, is cut out the alcohol, right? Be more productive. You know, and so people aren't willing to do these little things. If you're fat, you're not willing to do the work, well, they're gonna be fat. And which is why diet pills are such a huge industry, because they sell the easy. They sell the Band-Aid. But you're putting a Band-Aid on cancer. So for a lot of these folks that are not willing to do the work, you know, they're in panic mode every 3 months. Worried about, you know, how they're gonna pay their mortgage. You know, or their wife tells them, hey, honey, maybe you should get a real job. This is a real job, you know? Don't worry. Or you know, or for those folks you may recognize, that's sitting at the kitchen table and you tell your wife, your husband, who's depending on you, oh yeah, this candidate, he's a shoe, this is the one, this is it. And you know in your mind, you're like, maybe not, but you're saying it because you're just trying to kick the can down the road and not let them worry too much. And you take on that worry yourself inside. Been there, done it, lived it. I've lived it so many fucking times. It sucks. You know, it's the easy way to an early grave, right? So you get that, but they're not willing. It's like you talk to the doctor. The doctor says, look, you're gonna get early onset diabetes, and you're a fat piece of shit, and you know, you've got no testosterone left in your body. You haven't had sex in 2 years. You don't want to go to pool parties. You find every excuse in the book not to go to a pool party. If you do, you never take your shirt off. But you're not willing to not eat that shit and not go work out, right? So you get that too. And so that's the issue that I see sometimes. So we don't let a lot of people in to the program, you know, and there are people that we turn down as well because they're just not going to be a good fit. But the ones who are, they're reaping the rewards, because it's a transformative program, and it's going to make you work your ass off. But that's what you need. You see, here's the lesson I want to give you guys, right? And whether you're an accelerator or not, it doesn't matter, right? Now, whether you do it or not, it doesn't matter. But I want you to take this lesson and use this in life, business, whatever, okay? Think about what most business owners that haven't had to face adversity and can't really scale or get to a certain level and just kind of stay there all the time, right? Or the recruiter who, again, never had to face adversity and is just comfortable being in panic mode every 3 months. They're always looking for the quick, easy solution. What is a quick, easy, cheap way to gain an advantage in the market? Which is why you have some services, which I won't name names, but I know who you folks are, who will charge $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month to basically provide LinkedIn messaging for you, and they'll do that kind of on their own, and then they'll kind of send you some leads. They'll write content for you, like 2 to 4 pieces of content a month, which is like super generic, like 5 best ways to engage a search firm, or 3 surefire telltale signs that your star employee is about to leave. That all their clients get the same article, just with the words changed here and there, but it's kind of very generic, you know? And $30,000 a month because it's super easy. Just turnkey and get a couple, and maybe get some leads out of it, sure. Until the next finance recruiter in Cleveland does the same thing, either with them or another service, and another one, and another one, and another one, and shit. And then you're back to the same old fucking thing, okay? So what true titans of business do, the billionaires, the people who really understand how this shit works, is they look for the most expensive, the hardest, the most grueling, the most time-consuming thing they can possibly find to create a business advantage. And you know why? It's because most business owners, most people are fly-by-night opportunists. They're not willing to put in the work. They realize the harder it is to get through, the less competition they're going to have. There's a reason why Amazon, you can't even compete with Amazon at this point. You know, Amazon is putting so many retail shops out of business. Why? And for those people who complain about Amazon, we're still buying Amazon every day, right? How did Amazon do this? It's because they did things like create their own distribution system, which rivals anything FedEx has and the US postal system has, right? Their own distribution system and warehousing systems and their own computer systems and platforms. They didn't use Shopify. They created their own everything, and they spent hundreds of billions. No one ever would be able to get an investor to be able to create that same thing. They can't. Amazon's got it. They took the Walmart model and they made it better, right? And put it online. And so they didn't think about the short term. They thought about the long term. They're willing to take some losses. They're willing to do the hard things because what it does, it creates an advantage that people just can't replicate. So if you want to create your own advantages, so when the recession hits and the antelope smorgasbord is over and there's a bunch of lions fighting over what's left, if you want to be the biggest, meanest, fastest, leanest, most badass tiger, because that tiger spent that time in the gym just like doing his, like that tiger looks like Joe Mullins basically, right? Joe Mullins. But by the way, Mullins, I'm not as buff as you, but I'm coming after you. Although I can probably out squat you, but you can definitely out bench me for sure. But if you want to be a lean, mean motherfucker like Joe Mullins, right? But the lion version, who's guaranteed to eat every recession, no matter what. Sorry, other lions. Then do the work now to get ready for that. Build your castle, build a moat, and make the moat really wide and really deep, and put a fire ring around it, because you had to go through that fire. And if you had to go through that grueling fire, now you know that fire you just went through is your barrier, it's your shield, keeping others from doing the same thing you did, because they are not willing to do the work. They don't have the guts to do it, okay? So I'm gonna give you a few different ways on how you can think about what can you do to create this moat around you, to create this sort of differentiator, right? To be the biggest, baddest, meanest motherfucking lion on the damn Serengeti, okay? How you could be another Joe Mullins, basically. I guess I'm coming after you, Joe. Anyway, you are a pretty buff guy, I'll tell you that. So 4 ways to do it. First is your service. So, you know, how do you become great at anything? You do it you put in 10,000 hours. I think that's what Malcolm Gladwell said. But you put in your time. So that's what I mean by going through the fire, make it more grueling, because if you make your service better, right? Better, just make a better product. Meaning, are you taking the job description, just posting it? Are you contacting every single candidate and designing this entire system of cold calls and emails and email sequences and Facebook and all these different things, and using technology to make a better product, to make it better and to be better, and to not only on the recruiting side, but be on 20 sales calls every single week, even if they suck, because just because they suck now, they'll suck a little bit less next week and a little bit less next week until you're finally kind of good. And then you're excellent. And then you're a stone cold killer because you're willing to go through this shit. If you're willing to eat like shit for a short period of time so you can eat like a king for the rest of your life, it's amazing how most people are so short-sighted they're not willing to do it. They say they are. They say they are. They'll put the plate of shit in front of them. They will find any reason, an excuse, any rationalization in their head to not do it. Okay? So that's first thing, is just be better. You know, is get really, really good, have a really good product. That's first. Second is systems. It's kind of it's really extension of the first one here by being better, but figuring out systems, creating email systems, creating advertising systems, creating systems that no one else has. So when you go to your client, your prospect, say, no, this, yeah, the other recruiter will do a job posting and they'll do this and they'll email blast their list, but they're not. We're gonna make a map of every single director in the Philadelphia area. We're gonna do a profile on each and every single one. Now we're gonna guide them with phone, email, Facebook ads, LinkedIn content, LinkedIn messages. We're gonna do video recruiting. I'm gonna do smoke signals, right, from the hilltop next to them so you can see the smoke signals and apply for the job. I want to be there outside their bedroom wall with little pebbles and then look out. I'm going to be serenading about how great your company is because, God damn it, we're going to make sure you find the very best top-performing candidate in the market, not just the best of the unemployed like most recruiters will get you. Okay? That's a good product. You got to develop those systems to do that, and that's hard, not easy. But man, you can sell that. Man, you can sell that. Especially if you go and put that into an actual offer, create an offer and shine it up, make it look really good, and then you can present that. You're really good at presenting it. But then once you have the offer, then create a system around that through your own Facebook ads and content and a funnel and a lead magnet. Takes them to a landing page and invites them to book a call and just a system, right? Remember how I said before, right? You know, the reason why you love your parents is because they served up a lot of impressions and they provided upfront value. Right? So create systems to start doing that to your audience, whether you work with 500 decision makers in Cleveland or you work with 10,000 decision makers all across the country for your entire firm. Create systems to do that. Okay? Branding is another one. All right, back to Joe Mullins. Joe has a brand. He doesn't have to do this. He's got a firm. He's got good people work at his firm, right? You know, if for those who don't know the Mullins Group, many of you do know him. He's very polished. Puts out, I think, I saw an interview with him. I believe he spends $600,000 a year, or maybe $300,000, something along those lines. Let's call it $600,000 a year in media, and you know he has his own media crew that follows him around and just all that kind of jazz, right? Does he have to? No, he's got a firm. I believe he's more successful because of that, but he's building a brand. But you know what he's building? He's building a moat. He's become the baddest motherfucking lion in the Serengeti because he's putting so much into it. And every month he strokes that check. Another month strokes that check. Another month strokes that check. And on top of that, is willing to face the barbs and the criticism because you always get criticized. You always face barbs when you put yourself out there publicly. Okay? And doing that, what it does, builds a brand. Now think about this. Think about this. You know, med device company needs to build out a med device sales team. I'm not med device. I don't know the different positions, but they need to hire 10 people, high level individuals, build out a fucking team, right? Potential, you know, $500,000 in fees. Now they're checking out different medical device search firms, and they got firm A, firm B, firm C, firm D. They all look about the same. They're all contingency, all for lower rates. And then here comes Joe motherfucking Mullins. And he's the Mullins Group. He's got this brand that's built. It's a brand that just people can't replicate because he's invested so much. Do you think it's even a competition? You know, if they're worried about, if they're scraping on money, they might go with somebody else, although it will cost them more in the long run. Okay. So it makes his job of selling just that much easier. Right? So there's the brand. Beyond it is build that brand out. And that just, again, what's Joe Mullins doing? He's serving up impressions, providing upfront value. just like your mommy and daddy, okay? Serve up impressions and provide upfront value. So I'm trying to do with my firm. So I'm trying to do with on the coaching side, right? Impressions of value. So what else? Your team. Building your team. Because, you know, if you're a solo shop or if you're kind of on your own and you're a single recruiter, you're going to want to be able to probably go on your own. I mean, at the end of the day, you're only going to go so far working for somebody else unless you build a team within that company. But even then, look, search firm owners know exactly what I'm talking about here. When I say that, if you're looking to grow your firm and you're Bob Evans in Cleveland, you went independent a year ago, you did well, did okay, got a little extra money in the bank, I want to hire. I want to be the next Joe Mullins, right? So you hit the gym really hard, there's that. But then you also decide to hire your first recruiter. So you place an ad out on the job boards. You know you're a recruiter, you know you shouldn't really be doing that, but you do. And you end up talking to, you get some applicants that apply, and you find a guy that you're kind of excited about because he's got 10 years recruiting experience. He worked for MRI, he worked for Swiss Path International, did a stint at Robert Half. Hey, this guy's got experience, fantastic. Although, when you think about it, if he was killing it at MRI, why would he leave and go work for the firm and not go to work for himself? So he's never really been that successful everywhere else. What makes you think he's going to be successful at Bob Evans Recruiting? What's special about you? Nothing. In addition to that, why should he go with you? Now, if he's really good, he probably has his pick of the litter, but he doesn't. So you don't have a good selling proposition, so you're not going with the best of the best, which is why you spend so much time and money training the guy to have him not work out, or 3 months in, you're thinking, you were so excited, 3 months in, you're thinking, God, oh, what did I do? He's not producing. He's thinking he's fine. It's like, I'm just working, and you got a problem on your hands, right? And that's basically 100% of your workforce is not producing. There's no way to build a business, right? Now, imagine Joe Mullins. Do you think he has any fucking problem hiring the best of the best of the best? They come to see him, right? In fact, for a top producing recruiter, it's a tough choice between going out on your own and going to work for Mullins, because you know Mullins has got the power of that brand and their systems and technology, and he is just and they probably have a free gym membership too on top of that, right? All that's great. Or we can go work for Bob Evans Recruiting down the road, right? So Mullins could be a lot more picky with who he brings on. And when he brings somebody on, he could be almost assured that they're going to be successful because they have the system. But it took a lot of sweat equity and a lot of work and money and time, right? That's where I'm at in my business. Now, I'm very open with where I'm at. You know, everything I teach in accelerators, the shit that I do now, it is field tested. It's not pie in the sky fucking theory. You know, it's how to sell, how to create this system, how to create a higher level offer, like all these different things that recruiters don't know how to do. So I'm teaching this, and where I'm at right now, my business this is my year to really scale that up and do it the right way. And the folks in the accelerator can kind of follow me along there, be part of that, right? And I'm putting in my sweat equity for that. So I guess the question is, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to create that moat around your business to where it doesn't matter when the barbarians are at the gate, you know, when the recession hits and times are tough, and the recruiters that were your buddies, you know, kind of friendly competitors, are now, they're literally going after your clients, looking at your career site, your job opening, your job board, whatever, on your website, and figuring, okay, who that client, and going and trying to undercut all your clients because they're so desperate, because they got to pay their mortgage and they're afraid of dying. You're literally going to have barbarians at the gate. What are you going to do to compete and stay strong? How are you going to be the baddest motherfucker on the Serengeti unless you start training now for the eventuality? So then, when times are good, you go out and build your own pride, and you build your own kingdom, or queendom if you're a queen, right? But to build your own pride and to pass on your system, right, what you've created, to now your progeny, the recruiters that you bring in, develop under the Bob Evans system, to where now Bob Evans is the Joe Mullins of Cleveland, Ohio. He's everywhere. Everybody knows Bob. They love Bob. He's the biggest, baddest recruiter. You know, Robert Half can't even compete. Other individual recruiters might try to compete on price, but when they want to get a good job doing that and want a good account, they go to Bob Evans. They just know that. Might be a little more expensive. They may have to pay Bob up front, but Bob hits it every single time. Okay? Bob didn't get there overnight. He did the fucking work. He was willing to invest in himself. So, what I'm trying to say is this, right? It's not necessarily a sales pitch for Accelerator. I mean, kind of is, kind of not, but honestly, even if you don't go Accelerator, it's fine. Do the work. Figure out a way where you can go, not like a system in my mind, any system, just figure something out. But I wouldn't go with a program that's turnkey, because it's turnkey for a reason. Trying to sell a lot of it. Program that says you never cold call again, because they know we hate cold calls. So that's a sign that it's not really where you want to go. Okay, we'll write all your content for you. Also a sign that's not where you want to go. Okay, so join a prayer that works, but more than that, figure out what you can do to go through the fire and create the fire yourself if you have to. The bigger the fire you have to go through, the more grueling, the more gnarly, the harder it is, the better, because again, it creates a barrier, a natural barrier against your enemies. And we're all friendly now, but when the recession hits, you know, we're all going to be competing for a smaller pie, and you want to be the one who's surviving, so when times are good again, you can build that pride and build your kingdom out and be the Joe Mullings of your industry, or maybe the David Patterson of your industry, for that matter, right? Which is why I don't let people in the SAP space in my program, which is why I may even start excluding other areas like Oracle, or maybe some other areas of IT, because candidly, I don't even want anybody bordering me to be doing this, right? But that's why. And I'll get in now, because I may not be doing this very much longer. To be candid, the reason why I make more money on recruiting than I do doing this, the reason why I do this is, quite frankly, I'm looking for my future investments. There's companies that are going to ramp up and create their own kingdoms. I want to be the person to help bring them there. So then I can go say, hey, I would love to invest, be an investor in you and what you have, and let's build a kingdom together. So for me to do that, I'm creating my own markets by doing that. So I'll probably be doing this for another 6 months, maybe a year. I don't know how long, you know, until it gets to the point where I just don't want to do it anymore, because it is a drain on me emotionally. It's a drain on me, you know, my time, and for not really a lot, to be honest with you. So if you're interested, book a call. But again, if you're just interested in price, I wouldn't even worry about it. If you're not willing to do the work, I'm telling you right now, a lot of work, so don't waste your time. But even if you don't join, find some way to get really good at this business, really good, better than everybody's. Have a good product. Create systems around that product, both systems to recruit, right? Like just my email systems alone, I'm doing the work of 3 or 4 recruiters. It's amazing. But create systems around that, okay? So be good, create this amazing product that no one else has, create systems around that very few people can replicate, very easily replicate, or figure out what you're doing, okay? Once you get that, start building your brand, pour money into it, pour time into it, right? Be the Joe Mullings of the industry, right? It doesn't have to be as polished as what he does, right? Mine isn't as polished as what he does. It doesn't have to be, right? That's his choice. That's his brand, right? But create that brand. Serve up impressions, provide upfront value, just like mommy and daddy did with you, okay? Do that. And once you get that honed in and honed to a razor's edge, then think about scaling and hiring the right people, not the people who are available, okay? Hire the people who have choices, who could go bill $500,000 somewhere else, but for some reason they want to go with you because you've got the system, you've got the brand, you've got the juice, okay? Figure that out, and I think we're gonna have a long and very fruitful and very profitable career. So with that said, I appreciate your time watching this. If you want to book a call, you can do that at the link below. And one last thing, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And with that said, thank you everybody for watching, and peace.